Welcome back to the metagame. My name is Sky, and today we're doing a deck profile of Water Control, featuring the new Deep Sea archetype. And it's a relatively simple deck, kind of. It's very control heavy. If you played Mermail in the past, it functions pretty much the same way Mermail does. You control the game up until you have a stage where you feel comfortable with, and then you just explode. We're going to start things off with 2 Deep Sea Aria. Deep Sea Aria is a really nice spell card that banishes a water monster in graveyard, and it adds a level 4 level Sea Serpent from your deck to your hand. We are then playing the only other spell card in the deck, which is 3 Shaddoll Fusion. My version is going to be very controversial from what else you're going to see on here, because I am playing a more control version, hence the name why I call it Water Control. Shaddoll Fusion, the Shaddoll archetype is one of the best control archetypes there is. It's very splashable, and just the ability to either lock up special summons, construct, just destroy everything, banishing shit with Aria. It's a very control-centric style. Speaking of Aria, we're playing 2 of the Water Shaddoll, Nail Shaddoll Ariel. When she's used as a fusion material, she'll banish cards from your opponent's graveyard. However, she can also banish your own monsters, which is what you're going to be doing a lot, because these new Deep Sea cards actually use their banish zone as a second hand, relying on either returning or special summon, banishing level 4 or lower waters. 1 Falco, 1 Hedgehog. Falco for recursion, Hedgehog to get the fusions, Beast for draw, and 1 Performate's Trick Clown. 1 for a construct target, 2 at the very worst, it's a level 4 in a body. That's going to end it for the Shaddoll aspect of the deck, and now we're going straight into water. And you can't play water without Elemental Lord, Moonland Glacia. Moonland Glacia, rip apart your opponent's hand. We're playing 1 of each of the big Mermails. They're simply just beat sticks and more control aspects. Now, my favorite part of the deck is the small water lineup. Everything in the deck is going to be pretty much Sea Serpent with a few Aquas thrown in. So we're going to do Atlantean Marksman, which I feel like I should not have to explain because it's been around for a while. But with water control, basically your water monsters activate when you pitch them to use a water monster's effect. And Marksman does this cool thing to where it targets a set card and destroys it. So it's your back row clear. 2 Gundy. Gundy, if it's discarded to the graveyard, you can target a Mermail and summon it. So it's your way to get your link fodder. 3 copies of White Stingray, which is a level 4 water that says you can pitch a water and summon it, which means you can pitch any of your Mermail or your Abyssal cards and pop off their graveyard effects, so they're being sent for a water effect. 3 copies of Infantry, which is a monster popper. It does the same thing as Marksman, except for it pops monsters. And also be aware your levels, most number 2s. 2 copies of Neptibus. Neptibus, the Atlantean Prince, is a very cool one. He's an Atlantean, and he's a level 1 Water Sea Serpent. He can target an Atlantean monster in the graveyard and special summon it, and he can also send water seas for his own effects. 3 Dragoons, which is very simple, very stable for water. It's a level 4 Sea Serpent, pretty much will just help you trigger off their effects. And now to the actual new shit, the Deep Sea cards. 3 Deep Sea Diva. This card was limited and or banned for the longest time, and it's pretty much just a level 2 water tuner that can keep on cycling itself. Moving on to the new ones. We're going to play 3 copies of Deep Sea Astral. And Deep Sea Artisan, if it's discarded, if it's added from your deck or graveyard to your hand by a card effect, well, by a water monster effect, you can reveal this card, look at your opponent's hand. If this card is special summon, you can then send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, then target 1 level 4 or lower monster in the graveyard and summon it. So Artisan will give you hand advantage and knowledge of your opponent, and also allows you to summon a level 4 or lower water to then use the Deep Sea Diva and start synchroing. 3 copies of Deep Sea Sentry. Deep Sea Sentry, if it's sent to the graveyard to activate a water effect, you can make your opponent banish one card in their hand, face up until the end phase. If it's special summon, You can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard, then target a level 4 or lower water, and summon it, and add it to your hand besides Sentry. So Sentry is more hand looping along with Moonlight Glacia and Artisan, and more water control aspects. And then finally, the last monster of the deck, 3 copies of your second tuner, Deep Sea Minstrel. I believe that Diva's better, but still 6 copies of tuners is amazing. And Deep Sea Minstrel, you can discard it, add a water monster, and then look at your opponent's hand and banish 1 card from their hand, face up until the end phase. If it's special summon, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, then target a level 4 water, except for Minstrel, and place it on the bottom of your deck. So if you notice, it's a lot about just milling out the water stream of your deck, and because they're all being sent for water monster effects, all your Atlanteans are going to trigger right from the deck. And that's the control aspect, pretty much mill waters and pop off their effects. Moving on to the extra deck, we're playing 1 Mermail Abyss Scale, 1 Starboy, and because this is a synchro deck, 2 Kriston Liquefied Rex. Moving on, we are playing 1 Shark because it's a level 4 water, 1 Toad because we can only play 1 Toad, and 1 Hope Wyvern Spider Dragon Shard. For the Shaddoll's we're playing 2 Winda to control our opponent's field, because we're playing a lot of waters and we don't want our opponents to use spells or traps. We're going to play El Shaddol, Montayate, and then 1 Construct. And then for the actual synchros, we're going Coral Dragon and Deep Sea Prima Donna or Liquid Frybrex. And Coral Dragon is just a water level 6 tuner synchro monster. That Deep Sea Prima Donna over here is kind of special. So we're going to read her for you real quick. You can target a synchro monster that uses this card's material. Your opponent cannot target a synchro monster that uses this card's material with card effects. So it's going to protect whatever you make with it. And also, you can target one of your opponent's banished cards and add it to your hand. So if you don't see the point in all the Deep Seas right now, is you want to banish whatever the hell you want to use from your opponent's hand. You are not playing your deck, you're playing your opponent's deck for them. Along with this, they can summon a level 4 lower water. Prima Donna is a little bit on the pricey side of when we're recording this. You want to play 2 to 3. I only have access to 1, but you want to play 2 to 3. And then finally, Trishula, because it's waters. Besides from that, the only changes I would make is, like I was saying, the Prima Donna. You want to play 2/2/3, because just the ability to play your opponent's hand that you are ripping apart using your Deep Seas is how you control the game. Don't expect this to be a quick-paced game. You're going to go to time a lot. It's very control-heavy, very stun-heavy. And if that's not your style, I do not recommend picking up this deck. But it is a very fun control deck. I'm Sky, this is the metagame, and y'all have a great day.